Thank you for joining us for Saturdays with Miss J. And today we're again here with Mr. Snipes. So we greatly appreciate you for for joining us.
Take her breath away, y'all. I take her breath away.
And today we are going to be talking about unpacking the marriage baggage. The things that we bring with us into our relationships and marriage, either knowingly and unknowingly, the visible and invisible things that help us or hurt us within our relationship. And typically when I think about baggage, I'm thinking about things that are detrimental to you, the things that you drag along. If you can imagine yourself in a airport with tons of baggage, it's hard to get where you're going.
Yep.
If you're carrying all these bags.
Yes.
And so there are some solutions in the airport, such as baggage, check your bags, all these other things. Today we're going to check some bags. We're going to unpack some bags. We're going to get rid of some bags so that you can travel through your road a little more lightly, your marriage road. So if this is your first time joining me, my name is Miss J. I am a coach, entrepreneur, business owner, and I do all things life. I like holistic versions of caring for people. My business specializes in career coaching and HR outsourcing. However, I understand that you take everything with you. And so when you go to work and when you come home, those lives don't necessarily separate. So we talk about life in general. My spouse here is a counselor, a director of an organization as well, but he spends a lot of his time working with families and couples on relationship issues. And so we decided to spend June talking about love and marriage because it is our anniversary month. If you didn't catch our first episode, please go back and watch that. It's available on my YouTube channel and linked on this page. So today we're going to get into it. And so this is unscripted. Unlike last week, we had some notes. This is going to be completely just conversational. And so we will see what it means. As usual, I have a guest, so I like to let my guests jump in and start. And then we will have the conversation about marriage, about baggage, and letting some of that stuff go. So if you haven't gotten a drink, your coffee, your juice, your tea, whatever you got, go ahead and get that. You might want to catch a pad or a pencil because you never know what is going to be said, and you might want to take some notes. If you have questions, feel free to reach out to us via the questions under the Facebook. I am going to be logging in momentarily to make sure I can see those, and we'll respond to those if needed. So, Mr. Snipes, I'll turn it over to you.
So I would like to add one more title for me, and that is Arm Candy for my wife. So I'm your arm candy. I like to just sit here and marinate at times so you can look at me and love me. All right. So good morning, you all. Again, we are excited to be here with you all. I'm excited to be here. This is the second week I get to spend with Janelle, or Miss J, excuse me, for us to really dive into aspects of relationships and helping others. And again, I think it's great for us in a sense of coming in, not trying to say that we are experts in a sense like, look at our marriage, because our marriage is our marriage. And we hope that with the skills God has blessed us with, both in these conversations right now and outside in the other aspects, not other worlds, this is not a multiverse, that we can be helpful. That if it's just one person who gets help from all of this, we really appreciate it. And we just hope that you continue to be blessed. And so as we dive into baggage, I want to share something that I read on a blog. So I'm not going to take ownership for it, but it was something that I thought was very powerful and apropos for today. And they basically said like emotional baggage. And it was like the negative, unprocessed emotions from past experiences for which you are either directly or indirectly impacted. And I just thought that was phenomenal in the sense of like it makes sense. Directly meaning that it happened to you. Indirectly means that it happened to somebody else. But it's those unprocessed things that you have not figured out or have made peace with, that hadn't understand, that continue to manifest itself in you and sometimes at the most inopportune time. And there's different variations of baggage. It could be emotional in the sense of grief, fear, insecurity. It's a lot, but it's just one of those things that because a person hasn't unpacked it yet, hadn't processed it yet, is one of those things that just keep coming up, and it can impact your current relationships or just life in general. So yeah.
So good. I think that's a great place to start to kind of level set about what we're talking about when it comes to baggage. Because, like I said, everybody has baggage, whether you admit it or not. And if you acknowledge what's in your bags or if you act like it doesn't exist. So one of the things that's that I also want to kind of include is that we are in the becoming process as children.
Yep.
And a lot of our emotional coding, how we respond to things, happens during that period of our life. And then we just continue to replay those same habits, behaviors, and responses as we go into our adulthood. Excuse my voice, I will get it taken care of in a second. And so for us, we've been carrying these patterns for a very long time.
Cycle of learning.
Yes. And then these patterns that we picked up, whether they are healthy or unhealthy, they begin or continue to affect us. And so when we are connecting with another person in a marriage relationship, you have to understand that some of that emotional coding and patterns is going to continue because that is what feels normal and comfortable to that person. And if your patterns are clashing, or if your learned behavior over the course of your prior relationships is clashing, then you are going to have some of the issues that we want to help you recognize and potentially avoid.
Right. Now, again, in all things as we talk, there's some things we want people to just remember. Assumptions, communications, respect. With assumptions, again, it's easier for us to assume than it is to learn. So there are times when we're engaging with our partners or significant others, or even ourselves, where we are assuming we know what they want. This is what they mean. I don't have to ask the question. That's where communication comes in. Ask the questions, get insight, figure it out, ask the important things, and always be respectful. Again, because you're so close to someone, or ideally, and you're so vulnerable, you're exposed. Yes. And you want to be so protective that sometimes you may lash out in a way that really isn't helpful. So as we unpack baggage, I guess the student affairs in me also wants to do this disclaimer. If it's something that is triggering in you, if it's something that, brings up, negative emotions and stuff, there is assistance out there to kind of help you process through. We strongly encourage you to do that. So that way you can be successful, the successful you want to be, that we want you to be. So I want to at least pause to acknowledge that. But, again, in regards to baggage and just how to navigate, it is those things that interpret how you interact with somebody else. And sometimes because it happened to you and it was based on somebody else, you make the assumption that the current person or the current situation you're in is going to be the exact same thing.
Exactly. And that's where, treating your spouse like your exes, or doing things to quote unquote avoid those negative behaviors of your exes, even though your selected partner has not displayed those things.
Yep.
And so this is where I frequently would tell the ladies who I talk to, you can't take that hurt, pain,
right,
or whatever that came out of your old relationships and just place that on the shoulders of your new selected person.
Or even on the head.
Or the head, yes.
Like a crown.
Thinking or assuming that they are going to have the same behaviors that your ex-partner have. And if you have experienced those same behaviors in multiple partners, then it may be something else, that root cause of what is attracting you to those type of people, and not necessarily that all men are like this.
Right.
It's just that the type of man you are attracted to continues to exhibit the same behavior, and that root cause could be several different things.
Yep.
It could be the relationship that you watched in your home.
Yep.
And if you're, I like to say that a girl's first love, if you have an active dad, is going to be a father figure. It's going to be a dad, an uncle, a grandpa, whatever, that male figure that nurtures you, that shows you love, comfort, and support. They are going to be the person that you kind of start to model what a relationship looks like. And if you see that, oh, they treat me with all the love in the world, but you're not necessarily paying attention to the romantic relationship that they have. So they might be great to you, but they're not a great husband, or they're not a great father to their own kids, or whatever the case may be. You might be attracted to that person because of the relationship they have with you, without understanding the fact that they haven't been a good husband. They might be a cheater.
Right.
They might be a cheater. They might be a womanizer. They might be abuser. They might be verbally or mentally abusive. But your relationship is like fantastic. So you take that and say, oh, I want a man just like my XYZ, fill in the blank, and you start to model what you're selecting when you're old enough to date after that type of person.
But you got to remember, that's your paternal figure, not your romantic interest.
Right.
So are you trying to date your father figure?
Well, some people are attracted to men that are protective, that are providers, that whatever that characteristic that they've let, so if your dad is doing a great job,
okay,
he sets the standard for how you're to be treated.
Okay, I'm with you.
So, a provider, a protector, a comforter, etc. Those are the kind of core of what you start looking for. I want someone who's going to treat me great like my dad.
Right.
The dads that come out here and they take their daughters to the daddy-daughter dances. They teach them how to be dated, how to be treated. They set the bar and the standard, and therefore you can't go out here and find someone who's just going to treat you raggedy, because you already have an example of what a good man is supposed to treat you like.
Okay.
And if you don't have that, then your level hasn't been set,
right,
and then anything potentially can be acceptable. But your dating patterns of guy 1, guy 2, guy 3 before you get to your husband is kind of, if you're not paying attention to what you're doing, you might be setting yourself up into the same pattern instead of learning from guy 1, making alterations or changes for guy 2, finding, leveling, and upgrading in guy 3 before you get to your husband. And I think that's just the mental learning process that some people get stuck in a dating cycle, which ends in a marriage cycle of the same type of person, instead of taking those knocks that you might have learned in your earlier relationships and then saying, okay, this is what's acceptable, this is not what's acceptable. In my next relationship, I'm not going to date someone who XYZ. I'm not going to tolerate these things. I want someone who has the other characteristics. And that is a relationship cycle, I think, of growth instead of the ditch that a lot of women get stuck in.
Now, we're not saying you need to date 4 people before you get married.
No.
I don't want anybody thinking we're saying, she said the first relationship, which is probably around high school, and your second relationship is after high school, and then you need that third boo thing, who may be a swagger-belly, and then I'm going to find my husband. No, we're not saying that.
Oh my gosh, no.
Every woman needs their own. I'm just kidding.
I did have a professor in college that says you need to teach, you don't need to settle in to your first relationship. You need to date so that you can learn. And dating, not necessarily in these 3-year long committed relationships, 5 years, whatever the case may be, but casually date to get to know someone. And I do want to draw the line that dating in the frame that I'm talking about is not sexual encounters, not hooking up, but dating people so that you can understand the qualities and the characteristics that you are like, that you can tolerate, etc. So I would encourage, Janelle J. would encourage young women and men to date, to figure out the things that they're most compatible with, and not do dating in the other way, where you're just so pulled in and 100% wide open to someone who hasn't committed to you in the beginning. But I think we're kind of derailing.
Yeah, we are. So the reason I was bringing one part up to come back is like, one of the things you and I were talking about earlier was red line. And what is that red line for the person? And how I define red line is that situation or circumstance that you basically say, if this occurs, then I'm going to have this reaction. So if someone cheats on me, then I'm going to leave. This is going to be my response. I'm going to end the relationship. That's kind of that red line. For some, if someone is physical with me, they can cheat, but if they hit me, bam. Or if they do something to my kids, bam. Again, when we're thinking about baggage, there's so much stuff that people may have that we can be here for hours trying to, decode and figure out each person's baggage. I think holistically what we're talking about, though, is for you to be able to figure out, number one, what is your red line? What is that thing that you're saying, this is it for me? Because sometimes if you have a fear of that, then part of your baggage is reacting to that fear. I was with Bobby. We don't know Bobby, but I was with Bobby. Bobby cheated on me, and I really love Bobby. Bobby had my heart, and Bobby did me wrong. Now I'm with Jim. I like Jim, but because Bobby just hurt my heart, I don't want to give my full heart to Jim. So I'm slightly guarded with Jim. And although I may want to experience life with Jim or Susan, flip it the other way, I can't because I don't want to get hurt. Part of the thing we're saying in a relationship is giving to the other person, being vulnerable. So if your baggage is, I got so hurt because of the last time I got vulnerable, I can't trust this new person based on that old person, that's one of those things you need to unpack. Because you can't grow with that other person, and you have exits for a reason. Similar to what she was saying earlier, part of it is you learning and growing, like what do you like, what do you don't like. When we're a kid, I like to use this ice cream metaphor for some reason. I do it with other people I sit with. When you're growing up, you only know about vanilla or chocolate ice cream, or depending on what household, vanilla, chocolate, strawberry.
Neapolitan.
The short person from France, Neapolitan. Think about it. But that's all the ice cream you know. And as you get older, and as you try different ice cream, you realize there's cookies and cream and Rocky Road and butter pecan, or anything that's Ben & Jerry's or Haagen-Dazs. You see that there's a variety. And you start to taste and sample because that's what you begin to realize. Like, I don't like chocolate. I like chocolate and I like mint separate. I don't like chocolate chip ice cream, mint ice cream. But again, it's understanding that you're coming from vanilla and chocolate and strawberry to those different things. Let me connect it back, because some of y'all's like, why are we talking about ice cream? The thing we're talking about in terms of relationship is part of this is you learning who you are in different situations and different circumstances. How do you know the way you like, to be loved? How do you know you like someone to hold your hand? How do you know you like to hug someone and lay your head on their shoulder, or for them to lay their head on your shoulder? Part of that is you being able to date and engage with other people and learning from that experience, and don't take the baggage with you. So if Bobby hurt you, that's Bobby. Right. That's not Jim.
Right.
Now, if Jim hurt you, that's Jim hurting you. That's not Bobby reincarnate hurting you. So it's real important to understand and separate the people from what's going on, and understanding internally, hey, you don't want to be hurt. So that's your thing. I don't want to be hurt. Well, how do you don't want to be hurt? I don't want to be hurt to feel like I give so much and give all in that I trust them completely, that whatever they say I'll do. However you define being all in, if you know that's a precious gift, which I believe it is, but you don't want to get to the point that you don't want to just give it to anybody, then it's understanding that aspect, understanding that part of baggage, because that is important. Because again, fear, insecurity, infidelity, all of that can be that emotional baggage that you're reacting to that can have a negative impact on your current relationship.
Right. There's a couple of things there that you started talking about, and I was like, ooh, let me grab that nugget so that I could expand upon it, and it slipped my mind. But let's go to, so I'll sum it up like this. There's the dating relationship in which you learn your lessons and you take your knocks. Yep. And then hopefully and preferably you find a marriage partner who is going to allow you to be wholly you, as Walter said, all in and vulnerable, so that you don't have to continue to carry these bags along the way.
Correct.
So that's where that premarital period, if you decide, oh, I really like this person, he's so cool. Again, we can't continue to live in the shallow we have to go deep before we decide marriage, because you do have to be open and vulnerable and give this person the permission or the ability, not the permission, but the ability to hurt you by trusting them with all of those things. And if you can't trust them with your insecurities, your XYZ, then it's probably going to not be the person who's going to support you to get through those things, but they might jab at them, poke at them, and make them worse. And so you want to make sure that let's just take insecurity. I may have become insecure in myself because I have been cheated on in the past. And so I don't know if I am, quote unquote, good enough to be the one and only woman that he is dating. In that insecurity, there are several different things that I might permit. I might permit you to, or I'll say make it be acceptable behaviors that someone who is very secure of themselves may not think is acceptable. So in my insecurity, I may do things like go through your phone, stalk your Facebook page, figure out where you were, put a GPS on your car. I might allow you to talk to other girls and have side chicks, because I know that as long as I'm the main one and I allow you to come and go, then you won't leave me. And I will still have some sort of control. So I find some security in that control factor, instead of saying, you know what, I'm good enough to be the one and only. I am there's the line where if I'm not the one and only, then I can't stay here. That baggage can impact how you go into your relationship and how those behaviors are enacted in your life. So I am not a phone checker. I'm not a text message checker. I'm not wondering who Walter is talking to when he goes outside to have a conversation. I'm not in his DMs. I'm very secure in who I am in our relationship. Therefore, I don't have to carry that baggage. There are some women that are in relationships that have insecurity that either came from the behavior of their spouse or behaviors of previous partners, and that this is acceptable behavior. Well, I know all of his passwords to his Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, password to his email. I know how to unlock his phone. All these things are like bottom line, must have. And it's like, yeah, I know those things, but I don't need to know those things. And I don't have to act on those things because of that's not my bag. I might have a different bag. I actually do have a different bag. You want to go there? I can go there.
Coach.
Because you mentioned.
Fendi. You so much your bags.
So you mentioned red line, and you mentioned, I think you said if he hits me or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it being one of the examples of what a personal red line may be.
Yes. And so earlier in the conversation, I was talking to you about how you learn things from your childhood, from your growing up, and you kind of figure out whether that's going to be acceptable in your life and in your relationships. And I came from a place where physical violence, I saw it in relationships around me. And so that became my red line. Like, I will not accept or tolerate a partner who is going to physically touch me in anger, regardless of how hot and steamy it might get, how hot under the collar, if you have the audacity to put your hands on me in anger, then that's it for me. That is the red line. And I've had to draw the red line in other relationships. When I came into this partnership with Walter, we talked about that. I was very open. For me, if I tell you this and I give you this information, that's the part of being vulnerable, giving all of my craziness and things that I carry to the person who I've decided to be in a relationship with. If I give you that and I tell you, like, this is unacceptable to me, and then you have the audacity to act on that, then I consider that betrayal. Betrayal is my no-go zone. Once we're there, everything is out of the way. Fortunately, I chose a man whose character is opposite of what I've seen. Again, that's that learning cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Been there, done that, not going back. I chose a man whose character is opposite of that. And so I don't necessarily, again, have to worry about those things. I know that that's not in his realm of being.
Right.
But if I was stuck in my dating cycle, I might have married a man who thought that violence and anger was acceptable in a disagreement. Again, been there, done that, not going back. And especially since I have this man for over 13 years, definitely not even thinking about it. Right. But it is like understanding the why you have that bag, what that means for how you're going to carry it or how you're going to live in it. I realized I had that bag because I was like, you know what, this isn't acceptable, what I see. I don't understand how a man can love me at 3:00 and then slap me in the face at 4:30. Like, that level of volatility is not even, I can't comprehend how that equals love.
Right.
And so because I saw those things and I thought that they were unacceptable, I said, not in my life.
Right. And, you know, and this is one of those examples of that indirect.
Mm-hmm.
I saw it. It's not something that I want. So that's me choosing saying, hey, I'm not going to experience that. And again, you know, when we're thinking about baggage, even when we think about trauma at times, it doesn't necessarily have to directly happen to you, but you can see a car accident and say that was enough for me to have some reaction to it, that I don't want that.
Key word you said is trauma.
Yes.
We all suffer that.
Well, we do.
In various means.
Yes.
And then that alters how we behave, and not just in relationships, but
in life.
Yeah, in life, exactly. If you've ever been in a car accident,
right,
the next time you got behind a wheel, you probably felt some type of way.
Correct.
And it probably took you a while to feel normal in that habit again.
And to trust it.
Yeah, and to trust it.
So
go ahead.
So when we're thinking about, excuse me, relationships, when we're thinking about, again, how do you kind of get to that next step or what that next phase is, it's really important for you all to understand what we're saying. And again, it's like I said last week, it's not about having a sunshine marriage, because too much sunshine is a desert. But it's about having this balanced marriage where you feel like you can be yourself. You know, one of those things that, you know, I've had conversations with people about being vulnerable. And there's this tension between, you feel you want to be vulnerable, but you don't want to be vulnerable. You feel like you want that person to be close to you and know all things about you, but you want to protect yourself from that person. And that's a particular kind of flashpoint in regards to how you react and what kind of baggage you bring in. Because again, if you're reacting to I've been hurt in the past, so I don't want that person to hurt me, so I'm going to hurt them or react to them in a negative way. Again, that's that baggage we're saying you can unpack if you choose to. Here's the other thing about baggage. You can live with your baggage in the sense of unpacking your baggage, or you can choose to carry your baggage and acknowledge that your baggage is there. That choice is yours. It comes up to what you want to do. If you want to say, hey, I want to drop this baggage off and I don't want to carry the weight of it anymore, then engage with that baggage. So if it's fear, then ask yourself, what are you afraid of? If it's insecurity, what am I insecure of? If it's violence in the sense of, you know, as Janelle was saying, her red line, then ask yourself, why is that the case? And why do I feel I am worthy to have someone put their hands on me when that's not how I define love? Ask yourself, engage in that baggage. And it's not, again, none of this stuff is overnight. But what it does allow you to do is to say, I'm taking ownership and control for me to have the love that I want to have. And again, love is compromise. Love is two people working together. That's what I'm saying. I don't want anybody thinking that we have a perfect marriage. There was only one perfect being, and he died and rose a whole bunch of years ago. But in terms of relationships, it's about making it work. So when I talk with couples about premarital counseling, one of those things I say is like, stop focusing on the wedding. Focus on the wedding. Yes, it's a celebration, but it's about what you two do in your highs and your lows after you say I do. After you have the bum reception and party and cake and electric slide and wobble or whatever else you do. Mm-hmm. It's about what you do. I was getting somewhere. It's about what you do in that sense of when you're at your highs. Hey, we both got jobs. We're both feeling great. Or you're at your lows. We both lost our jobs or something else happened. Like, it's about making that moment work. And baggage is really one of those things that can impede on that success.
So I guess what I would like to do in the conversation is to name some of those things that can be detrimental, because folks might be walking around with bags, not necessarily understanding that this is a bag. And I think you hit on some of those things, but what I want to do is just to name it, because once you understand, oh, I have some of that, then you can start to do something about it. And of course, there's tons. There's probably a airport hangar's worth full of.
I was going to say that. Yes, it's a lot.
Invisible bags.
Correct.
However, we also know that there are things that we see frequently in relationships that can deter us, or that makes the marriage start to spiral.
Correct.
Because that bag keeps showing up. You're tripping over it very frequently. It's at your front door.
Correct.
And so it's not in the closet hiding, waiting on the opportune moment. It's like in the middle of the floor. And so some of those things I talked about was insecurity. One of the other things is the financial baggage.
Yep.
And we had a conversation about some financial baggage that I had, not necessarily wedding related. I had some financial baggage that we had a conversation about the other day. But if you, depending on where you come from or what your expectations are around who's the breadwinner, how the bills are paid, what the banking and the checking account looks like, what level of money is supposed to be in the bank account, etc. Those things, the finance bag is a bag that a lot of couples fall all over, because again, we build our financial habits and we get our financial goals typically from what we've seen. If your parents didn't teach you how to save money,
right, then
you probably don't have that. If you've always been able just to get what you want whenever you wanted it, then it feels absurd to be like, what are you talking about? I gotta wait, you know.
Resources.
So financial expectations, or the fear of being where you were. If you've ever been poor, and I'm not talking about like as far as like on the street homeless, but if you've ever been in a place where money wasn't abundant and you didn't have everything that you wanted, part of what you needed, if you've made it out of that place, most folks don't want to go back. So they do anything and everything in order to maintain a level of what they identify as financial security. And if your other person isn't in that same boat with you, and y'all are on different pages around that, there's the friction. Because I don't understand how you don't feel how I feel.
Right. I think other baggage are kind of like insecurities, but definition of friends. So the whole question of, can a man have a female friend? And sometimes I look at TikTok or Reel, and you see people like, the reason my man has friends, and they just point to thin air. So I think what those dynamics of in terms of kind of insecurity, but expectations about others, is a bag. Communication is a bag, in a sense of, I don't know how to communicate, or I
don't know how to communicate effectively.
Well, I communicate effectively, sure. But yes, I don't know how to communicate blank. Effectively, whatever else you want to put with it. But it's one of those things in terms of how do you, speak and say what it is you're trying to do. I think another, bag is for some intimacy. What happened to them in previous relationships. And in particular, one of those things I often think about with, guys, when you're dating, you have so many women, so to speak, and then that one main girlfriend. And then when you get married, you're assuming like you're not going to desire all those many women and just be with your wife. Like sometimes that's a bag in terms of what it is that you want that satisfies you. What are other bags?
I would say I don't necessarily know if it's the many women, but maybe it's the feeling that they get from having the many women. There definitely is this need for attention bag. If you were the it factor, male or female.
Correct.
And you know, could pull anything and when you walked in the room, and now you don't necessarily know, do I still got it? Do I still got it now that I've settled down? And do I need to flex that muscle occasionally for myself, or what does that mean for my relationship?
Correct.
You know, that is a personal bag that you can carry, like that need for validation, or for feeling that the need for validation. Oh gosh,
bag.
Yeah. Trunk.
Spirituality.
Yes, we carry spiritual baggage.
Yep.
And most of us some of us may have, you know, married a partner that grew up with us in the same spiritual lane, and so it feels very easy. But then there's a lot of other things that can impact the spiritual baggage. So I'll let you, if you wanted to drive down that lane, I'll let you go.
Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes there's the assumption of what God would want for us to be in a partner in a marriage. So you look at the church, and everybody who's in the church ain't got the church in them. And I'll just kind of leave that, because that can be a whole different Saturday session. But just that assumption of like, what does God want? What is a virtuous man, virtuous woman? And as much you may want that shell to be one way, you want that inside to be a different way. Freak in the streets, woman in the streets. Well, I said that all wrong. Disregard everything I just said in that sense.
You said it right, but go ahead.
But in the sense of, no, I mean, but it's just that baggage of sometimes there are people who feel like they have to put on a particular air because of religiousness or spirituality. And in reality, they are not 180-degree opposite of it, but they're not really living up to what they're putting on. That is a baggage. I need to marry a woman of the church or a man of the church, but in reality, I want something different. But I'm putting on this air. So that's what's like spirituality at times can be that bag. Or the opposite piece. Because I was with someone who was in the church, but it did all these things that was so against the church or against spirituality or against God, that anybody who comes and say, yes, I am prayerful or faithful or a blank of God, they hesitate. Because It's like, I had that experience before with a person who said they were a pastor and they did all the stuff to me that in the Bible says don't do. So how can I trust that? Again, baggage. Like I said, there's so much out there. The consistent thing is it is a negative, you have a negative response to it. It's one of those things that it is not allowing you to be your full life.
Right. So I think that this is like where I would kind of put it all together. We pick up bags along the way.
Okay.
We're not necessarily born with our baggage.
Okay.
We pick up bags along the way. We pick up a bag potentially in our household from our family life.
Yep.
We pick up bags from extended family. Yep. We pick up bags from friendships. We pick up bags from relationships.
Yep. And
when we start carrying that bag along, we have generalized that one experience into an everybody experience.
Yes.
So when I carry the bag of infidelity, is an easy one. When I carry the bag of infidelity, my first boyfriend cheated on me, and I've assigned that to whatever different characteristics.
All men dogs.
He cheated on me because of X, Y, Z, and this is how all men operate.
Yep.
Then when I carry that bag, I put Joe in the bag. I put Keith in the bag. I put Tim in the bag. And I say that, okay, they're going to act like this because of what the first guy did.
And you react to that bag.
Yes, I'm reacting to the bag and not to the person.
Correct.
And so in order for us to unpack the bag, we have to know that just because guy A did this, his judgment, his decisions, his history, background, and lived experiences contributed to his why. And that his why and acting on that why isn't everybody's why.
Correct.
So I don't need to carry this bag because it's actually his.
Correct.
It's his bag.
Correct.
It's not mine.
Correct.
And so I don't need to continue to say, okay, well, I need to keep an eye on my husband because Jack did this A, B, C, D.
Right.
And when he started acting like these things, then I need to see if my husband is going to do that to make sure that
Correct.
he isn't.
Spot on.
That's Jack's bag.
Correct.
You've picked up his bag and you're taking it with you and you're trying to put that same thing, assign it to everybody else.
Correct.
Or if I said it's a jacket, I know
Right.
we called it baggage, but I took this cheating jacket off of Jack
Mm-hmm.
and I said, okay, Walter, I need to put this on you. It might not fit who
Correct.
he is, but I'm trying to say, okay, you're with me. This is my previous experience. So wear this jacket.
Correct.
You're a cheater. You have the potential to cheat.
Right.
Or the jacket of insecurity
Mm-hmm.
that I put on
Yeah.
because of what Jack did. I'm going to wear my jacket of insecurity that says I'm not good enough to be treated above and beyond.
Right.
Treated like the queen that I am, crowned. I'm going to put on this jacket and wear it, even though it doesn't belong to me.
Right.
So I've given you the cheater jacket. I've given me the insecurity jacket. I've held your hand. Now we're walking down the street with Jack's bags, with Jack's jackets.
Yes.
And it's not yours to carry. So unpacking that, why? Maybe you'll never know why Jack cheated.
Correct.
Maybe he'll give you blow smoke. Maybe he won't say anything. Maybe you never have the opportunity to do that. But what you have the opportunity to do is say, you know what? This is a lesson for me to learn.
Mm-hmm.
However, the next guy doesn't necessarily do that. My vanilla ice cream isn't necessarily going to taste like my triple chocolate chunk ice cream.
Correct.
And if you are learning in your relationship cycle, you won't keep going back to vanilla. You'll go, okay, I'll go vanilla, I'll go butter pecan. Let's go around and do something a little differently.
Right. I think one of the main things we want you all to understand is, and I don't say this to be meaning for you to be selfish, but meaning for you to be aware. It does start with you. You need to understand why you're reacting. You need to understand your why. Because even in the example she was given about the cheating bag or the cheating jacket, it's like you're trying to fit somebody else in it. Your bag is, in a way, you feel worthy to be cheated on.
Right.
That's your bag. I got cheated on before with the first person I gave my heart to. They've set the standard, so I am now worthy of being cheated. And that's sometimes for those people who, well, this is, I think, for those people who find themselves choosing the same type of partner because there's a part of you that feels like I am worthy to be treated less than. I am worthy to live in deficit. I'm not worthy to live in abundance. You know, I think about why did I get married the first one? Jill Scott's character with the other guy. You know, her first husband did her wrong, and when she went to the sheriff and stuff, he was trying to treat her right, but she wasn't used to it. And
Right.
he's like, basically, hey, I'm going to treat you like the queen you are.
Right.
You choose to live in it. That's your choice.
Right.
Same thing with your baggage. Those people out there who are meant for you, in a way, are going to be there for you. They're going to see the great in you. They're going to see your insecurity in your baggage and say, hey, I'll help you carry it, to unpack it, to let it go, not to have it present with us. But you got to be the one that says, I'm going to drop this bag off, or I'm not going to carry it anymore.
Right.
Like, that is you. And it's so important that you be willing to do it. Other people can't force it.
Right.
Other people can't tell you, drop that bag if you're not ready. It's not going to work. You have to be the one that says, I am ready to let this go. I forgive the people who did me wrong, and I'm not going to hold this to the people who I meet in the future. You know, yeah, I'm insecure for things, and I'm trying to actively change those things. Or, you know, I had someone touch me in a way that I didn't like, so I'm not going to allow that, but I'm going to communicate, hey, person, this is my red line. This is unacceptable. I need you to understand that, because if you then decide to do that, understand I am walking the other way.
Right.
I am taking that ownership. I am taking that control. This is what we mean about unpacking that marriage baggage. You know, for some, you may feel your relationship. Oh, let me say this other piece I think is important. You can get baggage while you're in a marriage.
Yes, you can.
There are first marriages, second marriages, third marriages based on that new experience. You are reacting to a new experience, and you have a negative reaction to that new experience that in a way solidifies that circle of learning where you're saying that happened, I didn't like it, I don't want it to happen anymore, I'm reacting to it. in your first marriage, stuff happened.
Mm-hmm.
You were cheated on. Something else happened. You know, you didn't feel safe. You didn't feel secure. She seemed like she was all about herself. Whatever it could be. And then you take that baggage into your next marriage or your next union. Or you may say, you know what? I'm not getting married anymore. Again, baggage. You need to understand. I would want you to, but the choice is yours in terms of the need, to understand what that is about. And if you want to grow, because some people don't want to grow. If you want to prosper, because some people don't want to prosper. If you want to blossom, because some people don't. Again, the choice really comes down to you. And so that's all I got to say. This is like, in regards to baggage, how do you drop it off? You got to choose to drop it off. And there are people who are there to help you unpack it.
Right.
To help you manage it.
Right. And if you are going to be in a healthy marriage, which is also a part of what we're talking about, if you're going to be in a healthy marriage, it is important for you to be able to communicate those things and to be open and vulnerable in those areas. And hopefully you've started to do that before you even said the vow. That you've been able to discuss, unpack, reveal, identify some of the things so that, again, they aren't in the floor. And you're tripping over them consistently. Some of them things you might not ever be able to get rid of. Like, there's some things that you can. But there's some things that you might not be able to get rid of because they are either so deeply rooted.
Correct.
And there's not an area to resolve. If you have daddy issues and your daddy isn't on this planet anymore, you might not be able to resolve those things.
Or mommy.
Or mommy issues, exactly. And so those things that you carry, you might have to acknowledge them and decide how to act differently. But you might not be able to get to the root to resolve it and say, you know, okay, I can forgive, forget, and let go.
Right.
Because once you let go of the person, the issue, the situation that you put in the bag, then you give it wings and you can let it go.
Right.
But if you're not able to do that for whatever reason, then you at least have to be like, you know what, I got this thing that I carry, and I promise I'm not going to try to let it impede our relationship. So if you see it, call me on it. But I don't know how to get rid of it right now.
And that, in saying that, is a way of being able to resolve it and get rid of it. Like you said, there's some baggage sometimes we may not be aware of. It's so deep rooted. But the question comes down to, are you going to do the steps to try to not necessarily live with it, but to resolve it? You know, I think one of the things that I hope you all understand when we talk, you know, when we share the experiences that we have and share the insight that we have, is that we want you all to win. We want you to be successful. That's why she's here every Saturday morning. That's why I'm voluntold to come in at times. I'm joking. That's why I'm told to come in at times. I love my wife. But no, because we want you all to be successful. We want you all to understand those things that can impede a relationship. And, you know, there are people who've been married for years. But are they happy?
Right.
So that's why we do what we do. That's why even in regards to marriage baggage, like I said, we can be here for hours unpacking every little nuance. We can. But the thing we're trying to get you all to hold is, do you know what your baggage is? Do you feel like there's these negative things you're reacting to emotionally in regards to your current relationship or future current relationships? And if they are, pause to check what it is.
Yes. I'm going to jump in real quick because I like to give my viewers some nuggets, some things to do, some homework, because this is about working through the issues. And I think that is your number one. When I say grab a pencil and spend 15 minutes saying, you know what are the things that keep cycling in my relationship?
Yes.
And write it down. And then after you've written it down, maybe get a couple of sheets of paper. This is the thing that I see in my relationship that I don't necessarily think, it just keeps coming up consistently. And it's a negative thing that is unresolved. Put that write them down, your top 3. We start with your top 3. And then on that sheet of paper with your number 1, you write down what you think those triggers are. And then you can figure out, when did that start happening? And then go. If you have to do the 5 whys.
Yes.
5 whys. Why is it happening? And then it says, oh, it's happening because it makes me upset. Wow. Why is it making me upset? Oh, it's making me upset because it makes me feel insecure. Why is it making you feel insecure? And then it's making me feel insecure because I don't think he thinks I'm intelligent. Why is feeling intelligent such an issue with you? Because my dad used to call me dumb all the time, and I know that I'm not dumb. I've done all of my work. Why? Maybe you have to do another why, but you keep going down.
Yes.
So that you can understand the root cause of where that issue is coming from, and then you can discuss it. I can go from that point and say, hey, babe, we keep having this conversation. It ends on a bad note, but you know what? It's all because you're making me feel unintelligent.
Yep.
And I have an issue with that because XYZ. And then we can talk about it. He has knowledge of it.
Yep. And
then there's a choice to alter behavior and to alter reaction based on those things.
So, and I don't know why this just popped in my head. Some people like toxic relationships.
Cool. Yes. Attracted to the drama.
Attracted to the drama, attracted to the toxicity. So that could be a bag, and that could be something that you want. That's what I'm saying. It's all about choice. If you choose it, then you own it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You choose it, you own it. That's all I got to say.
Yep.
Boom.
I don't even know how to... Yeah, I think that's just it right there.
Yeah.
You might want to figure out why toxic feels good to you.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the 5 whys will work. Maybe you need counseling. I don't know. But if you want something different, if it's fine with you, and it's okay, and you ain't tired of being tired, then all right, congratulations, I guess. But if you're wanting something different, you have to unpack the bags, get rid of it, figure it out, make different choices.
Yes.
I am a fan of learning and continuous improvement. We got to do better. Once you know better, you do better.
Correct.
And so if it's not suitable for you or your future life or whatever your hopes and dreams, aspirations, you got to get rid of it so that you can do better, be better, and then enjoy what a healthy relationship could be on all fronts. So anything else? Anything on your notes or mental notes of what we should bring up right now?
And just remember, it's you. We all have bags. We all have negative reactions. It comes down to how you want to resolve it, if that's what you choose to do. Yes. We believe in you. I believe in you. Again, resources are out there. You all are awesome.
All right. So thank you for joining, watching, or on replay, whatever the case may be. I appreciate you. Definitely feel free to leave a comment, like, heart, share, follow. Yep. This will be posted on the YouTube channel as well. So definitely go over and make sure that you subscribe to Living and Leading with Miss J on YouTube, and follow Instagram, follow the page so that you can get any of the updates. If you have any requests for Mr. Snipes, he's tagged in the link that I did to promo this show. We do have 2 more episodes for June, one in which we'll have another married couple on with us to talk about some topics, and then another great show lined up for you later this month. We appreciate your time. Thank you so much again. Have a fantastic Saturday. Be blessed, and come back and see me. Feel free to reach out if you need me. Contact information coming up soon. Adios.
See you later.